Hi everybody, the Mature Simmer here. So you can see I'm signing on to what looks like a dev server, and no, I haven't taken on a new role here at FOC, but we're going into Osakusa to participate in a Farmers Only Club event. And so we'll see how this is shared and how this is received by folks, but was a bit chaotic, so I recorded the video figuring, well, I'll share it because I think it'll be fun. But this is the FOC Ironman that ran, I think, on September 9th. It was a Saturday afternoon here in the US. And so it's teams of 2. So I'm going in the server here, and at this point, Kelano, that is running this event, you saw that he was already on the server. So we've got teams of 2, as I said. He said, hey, pick any color. So I'm like, hey, I love orange. I'm going to go in there. And then he said, basically, we need to get below field 44. And so I'm on my way there. But what I'm going to do in this video is basically provide voiceover to what was going on. I've edited the video heavily. It was almost 2 hours long. So I've cut things down mainly through time lapse to get it down to less than half an hour. And hopefully that'll be interesting enough for people to watch. There's not going to be any time lapse in the beginning. I realized at this point, like, I could just jump into the vehicle. And we're then kind of waiting for folks to hop in. So we didn't have a lot of participants. Initially, we honestly thought we were only going to have 2 teams. Ultimately, we ended up with 3, which meant each of us would get some sort of prize, because the top 3 prizes were going to do things. But he had this set up for 6, 7, 8 teams. I'm not quite sure. I never really counted. I suppose if we look at that, you can see, yeah, there's 7 different colors on the map there. So I think we could have had up to 7 teams, but we only had 3. So we had one group of, I think one of them was the admins, and they were kind of joking that they were doing stuff and working at the same time, and that if something came up and worked, they'd have to go away. So I'm going ahead looking at the equipment we were given, because he's kind of talking about it. And all we know is we need to run laps around the map, and we're going to have to perform some activities. So I was just taking a peek at this point at what equipment we had. And, you know, he's like, you never know what you're going to need. Like, honestly, we never used that telehandler now that I look at this. That might have, well, actually we did. Never mind. That was used for the first event. And then we're here kind of looking at our setup. So we've got a tractor hooked up to a trailer and then multiple trailers. Now we're looking at a screen of his map. So he's talking about up here, we've got to go around here to the first point, and we're going to have to load hay bales up here and then take it all the way around. And he's talking about those pink tractors that are sitting at the road are basically blocking the ability to do anything other than just take the route around that he had. So, you know, we're figuring that out. You know, there he is in his mode. I'm just making sure that folks are going to go ahead and hop in here. And actually, I think I may have misspoken. We weren't yet being told about things. He was just explaining it quickly what we were going to need to do, and he mentioned field 60 at one point, and so I was trying to find it. At this point, we're still waiting for everybody to join the server. So there's field 60, as I pointed to, and he said, you know, they're all pink, so it should be a little easier to find, but being that I was unfamiliar with this map, it was certainly a challenge for me. So I decided to give this thing a go, because, hey, I figured if nothing else, it shows some of the unique things that are happening in Farmers Only Club that don't necessarily happen in other multiplayer communities. And ultimately, we had a lot of fun with this. So I think we're coming up to the map point here. So Raygin was my partner. So just kind of letting him know, or you know, giving him a shout out here. he agreed to join up with me. I warned him, hey, I might not be that great. I am speed up there, I think, is Lincoln in the community, and he got up there on top, and so we were all kind of joking around, and I think, yeah, Nizmu was his partner. I think Ray then decided shortly to go hop up, and then I'm like, all right, I better get in on the action because it's been a while. And at this point, it really had been probably almost half an hour because we had waited 20 minutes in Discord just hoping people would show up and join and so forth. So I decided to see if I could get on the roof, is I think what's going to finally happen here. So I had a plan, and it worked the first time. It was great. So there I am up on the roof, and we're just kind of wasting time still, waiting to get going, which was fine. I mean, there was a lot of chatter and so forth, and both for just privacy and so forth, I didn't include that. But there we go. Now I'm showing Ken Lowe's screen. So he's explaining up here, we'll have to go around clockwise, get up here, get into our equipment, and load 20 bales. Then we have to go all the way around the map, come back, and then back in that articulated trailer into the barn. Any bay in the barn, but it just needs to be backed in. Then we go back around and we get to field 60 here. And so he's got a bunch of barns set up, and the barns have 20 pallets of eggs hidden within them. So we need to basically play a game of hide and seek and find or treasure hunt, I guess, and find the 20 egg pallets, and once again get them on another trailer and bring them back around. And he's explaining, some of them are hidden. You're not allowed to go to multiple barns. You've got to do it all in one barn. And again, come back around and then park your trailer again. Go back around the third time, and then we come down here above field 34 by field 12. And I think, yeah, now he's explaining how the tractors are blocking all the roads and that they have 9,000 hours of use on them and 0 gas. So we won't be able to move them in any way and be tricky. So this is the last challenge where we have to take that slurry loader and put it on a trailer and transport it back and ultimately park it again. I think he was talking about the weight distribution and so forth, obviously how it's a little bit front heavy, but he said he tested this and it worked, but he felt it would be a bit of an interesting challenge. And certainly with the fences that you can see around, it was certainly fun. So here we go. We're getting ready to go. He's talking about setting us off, and then Wagon just took off. So I'm like, well, I guess I'm going too. And so at that point he laughed. He's like, all right, fine, everybody's going. So we didn't get a good start. We're going around to the first thing. And then, of course, I had a little bit of fun. So I'm slowing it back down here and giving you the slow-mo. I thought I could get by him because I figured we had to keep going, and then this happened. So now Wagon takes off. I'm having some trouble. My partner shows up. We're trying to flip it over. Ken Lowe had mercy on us, I guess, and super strength the trailer over for us. Then I thought the reason he had stopped there was we needed to go here. I find out, wait, there's no entrance there. So we go back, and most of this is now going to be this time lapse. So you'll be moving around, seeing how the event goes. So here we are. Ray's already started stacking. You can see he's got 4 bales up there, and we are now just trying to get things on. I've gotten off because I can't do anything. We've got the one telehandler. Now I'm back in the tractor, but I'm like, well, I can maybe strap things. So I start strapping them so he's not shoving them off. So we've got, 4 bales, and again, there's 20 here. So we need to get them stacked, and we also need to get them into the barn when we get back. So part of the discussion we had is like, well, don't stack it too high. And it was really another team was having a little bit of fun where they were really yelling like, you can't do that. We've got to get it into the barn, and you can't make it that high. I started, it seemed that I could move these around a little bit. I couldn't pick them up and carry them. I didn't have enough strength to do that, but it seemed I could shove them around a little bit. So now he's put some more on just strapping things down. You know, he's got a group of 4. I kind of suggested, hey, those might tip, put them closer to the middle. So we did that. And, you know, this is when it started getting interesting because, again, it's like, how high can we go? What can we do? And so as you can see, it's a little bit frenzied. We've got people around us and so forth. And I'm thinking at this point, I thought someone was already gone. You know, I'm a little bit panicked, like, wow, we got to get going. And see, and then we've got these, and I'm like, all right, I think we've got everything. So I get moving. And there we go. And then I start heading around the map. So this is the long lap. So Ray takes off ahead, and I suggest to him at some point, I don't remember exactly when on this, but I was thinking, you know, he doesn't need to be there. Like, use your time. Like, you can see, well, at this point, we don't see him on the map anymore. But I'm like, jump over to those barns and start looking for eggs. You can see the pink arrow. That's Kenlo following me around. Because at this point, I didn't realize we were actually in first place. And so I'm super excited. I got into these trees. I couldn't see anything. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get into the tractor. And this was my fatal flaw. So I'm going around the map. You can see this is the 3rd point where we're going to have to move those giant pieces of equipment. I go by that, and I am just moving. I'm hauling along here. I'm trying to keep my language clean, so in case we got youngsters watching, but I am moving. And right about here, I make a mistake because I have just passed where we need to pull in. And I'm just happily driving around, and suddenly I realize, wait a minute, I'm going along the North Shore. And so Ken was like, all right, you can't, I'll let you turn around. I'm like, great, I can't find anywhere to turn around. So I come over here, finally get one, because there's a guardrail right there. Like, there's literally almost nowhere to go. But luckily I turn around. Now at this point, other people have now caught up because, stupid me, I wasted, you know, whatever time it was. And so now I'm trying to find where the entrance is. And so now I pull in, but you can see there's already someone trying. So I could have been there first. Instead, they're doing that. And again, because these are articulated, that front tongue and wheel will move. So I'm like, well, I want to line this up. I want to go ahead and then slowly go back. I know a little bit of the trick. And I'm getting there, and I'm feeling good, and then this keeps happening. And it's like back and forth, back and forth. You can see the other guys at least got something in. I haven't even gotten in. Now the other team has showed up. So now we're all here. You know, and he did say we could unstrap the bales, so that bale falling. Now that team has already got stuff in. Now they're grabbing things, and they're clearly now ahead. They're in the lead. I'm panicking. I say, Ray, can you go ahead and do this? We talk about how many pallets he has, and I start looking. I'm looking in the pit. I'm looking around. I can't find anything. I'm like, I don't understand. I can't imagine, because I still need 3 more. Like, they got to be here somewhere. I don't get it. So I look, talk to Kenlo. I keep going around. I'm like, the barn's not that big. What's going on? And I hope this isn't like too crazy. It's only at 5x speed, by the way. So he tells me I can see 2 of them. I can't see a third. I'll spawn a third. Then I find them. I jump up. They were kind of in an in-between state. And then he's like, well, there's one more. And again, I did find it, so I know where it is. It happened to be right up there as well. So there we go. Now I drop it in the pit. Of course, you know, you got to waste more time. And then we go find the one that he had put down on the ground. There it is on the front. And then I'm just kind of looking to see where Ray's at. So I can see he's now still trying to back in. So I've gotten now all the eggs. The other 2 teams are gone. You can see their bales are in. We are struggling. He's trying to manhandle this in, for sure. We're getting some guidance, because I guess Kenlo does this for a living, and we're like, we understand a little bit, but this hill is challenging. Now he's hitting the post. So I'm kind of back here giving him direction, like, yeah, you're clear finally. So now he's in, and now again we're trying, and I'm like, oh, I think it's that one bale that's hitting the post now. And I'm like, oh, you're past. But, we then basically, you'll see us fumble around for a while. So the bales definitely, I think, did us in. I mean, we ended up, I think, doing better in some cases, but the bales did us in. So again, we can do a little movement, but we can't do a lot. I think on and on, you can see super strength disabled by Kenlo showed up. He had turned it on for a second, then turned it off. So he was having a little bit of mercy with us, I think, to not make it miserable. We're continuing to push. We're continuing to try to get in. He's getting close, and I'm like, I think it's that bale, but I can't move it. I can't do anything. So, now literally everything's fallen off. Again, I think Kenlo moved, and then I go around, I'm like, the bale in the back, we're hitting. And, because it literally was like what the trailer was stuck on. And that's why I'm like, you can't get in because the bale's there and I can't move the bale. And so I think, again, see now super strength's enabled, he let us move it, and now we're good. So finally, he's now coming down, so I jump back down to the barn. And now you can see, we've got a purple coming down and a yellow, and then we're the orange. So, people aren't super far ahead, but they're ahead. At least I didn't think they were super far ahead, because there are people, as you can see, over on the field of 34, they're moving wheel loaders around. So I think they were actually done with the eggs at this point. I didn't think it was that far. So at this point, I can't do anything in the eggs, and I'm like, I need to get over there and start making some progress on this too. So I just pick one of these and decide this is the one I'm going to work on, kind of peek around, see what everybody else has done, and I'm like, all right, yeah, let's pick this up in the middle, see what we can do, because that seems to be what folks are doing. But I'm like, we're not going to be able to get the trailer in given how hard it was. So now he's finally down there. We're going ahead and we're loading the eggs. Now this becomes obviously significantly easier because egg pallets aren't that heavy. So we're actually able to hand load them, unlike the bales. And then he's taken off, and I just am moving this along over to our next point. I know I don't need to come all the way back. Someone had left the purple truck there if you hadn't seen me blow by it. So somehow my teammate had gotten through, but I'm catching him. You can see on the mini-map on the left. So I obviously don't want to like ram him or something, but there he is in front of me. And at this point, I'm like, I'm going to pull off here, park this, and just keep working to get to the point where when he gets here, we are just ready to go. And everybody else, I wish I could have had good, clean audio. People were screaming at each other like, no, no. And so eventually, I think Kenlo gave us some guidance, and he was talking about the front and the back. It was the hint that he gave us. And I'm like, oh, okay, I think I know what he's talking about. So I'm like, all right, let me nudge this thing over. And I don't know, again, what the other teams saw from me there, but, I'm like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do, try this end here, see what I can do. Because my thought was, if I can get under, but I'm like, it's still tipped. Like, this is just a little screwy. All right, and now I'm just checking, and I can see, Ray's still over there. So I'm like, all right, he said front and back, so let me try this a little bit differently. So now I'm going to nudge it back, because again, I'm looking at the trailer's going to be coming in the road that's to my right here. So I just keep kind of whacking this, farming simulator physics. I'm like, I think it's good enough, because I wanted to keep it parallel to that road, or perpendicular to the road as much as I could. And getting on both ends, and then picking one end, picking up the other end, just kind of balancing it. And I'm like, aha, now we have it, and now we can just get the trailer underneath, lower it down, and we should be good to go. And here comes Wagon, because I think at this point I'm like, everybody's gone. And he's like, what are you talking about? We're all here. So it just got crazy chaotic. You can see it's falling off the trailer over there, and now Ray is here. So I explained to him the plan. He can tell. I'm like, he's struggling. I'm like, all right, I got an idea here. And so my thought was, I'm going to use the pickup truck as kind of a battering ram. And of course, I start doing it this way, and then I'm like, this is really stupid. Like, I should turn around and be forwards, and then I can stop that. And that worked better. So you can see I like straightened him out. And so I kept telling him, hold on, and, we'll get there. I'll get you straightened. So now we're under, and I'm telling him, yeah, now we're centered. So now let's each get in. He's in one, I'm in the other. We're lowering it down. We've got it. But then we're speculating, like, we're not going to be able to get into the barn. And you can see at this point, like, I think the one behind is on its side. Like, people had switched to other pieces. I'm still not sure anybody had quite left yet, but they may have by now. We then determined we needed to rotate it. So you saw we just did that pretty quickly, but then the front is off. So now we're back in, like, well, what do we do? And we don't want to start over. So I agree to come over to the front. He's over on the side. And then I suggest go over to the other side. And again, let's kind of move it together. And he hit the trailer a little bit, which moved things, which didn't help. But, we're trying. So we're sitting here poking around on this thing, and this was just a challenge. So we thought we had it, and then, of course, it tips over like that. So I'm like, all right, you know what? I got an idea. I'm going to come over, I'm going to move this, and then I'm like, I'm basically, once it starts happening again, because, you'll see in a bit, like, now it's falling off. So I think at this point we talked about, like, trying to move it again. Obviously, I just tipped him over. So trying to lower down, straighten out, and now he's going, but he's like, yeah, we need to fix this better. So I head over here, and then we both get out, and we're like, yeah, we need to get this on the trailer better, or we're never going to get it there. So we unstrap eventually. I'm like, we need to lift it high enough so the trailer falls. There we go. And then we have it, and then we're in better shape. He takes off, and I'm like, you know what? Because as soon as he turns there, I'm like, all right, I'm going to follow you with this. And basically, I think I used the phrase at one point, it'll be like one elephant keeping up another elephant that can't quite walk straight. So I'm like, I'll just keep bouncing along with you. And so that became our plan, and it worked. It got us there. I mean, but, this is what made this just really entertaining, because it was like, this is not a normal thing you're doing in Farming Simulator. I mean, you may be transporting something, but just, doing it in a rush and trying to figure out the best way to get there and do it quickly. I mean, there was a lot of laughs, a lot of fun going on at this point. So we're here. He didn't miss the entrance like I did. And everybody's here. It's just the other group's trying to get in a far barn. I didn't realize that for quite a while. So I thought for a bit we might have been in second, but so we sit and fight this for a bit, but eventually, because they determined that things jiggled when you got near the barn and no one could get in, so the far one over there you saw for a second was the one that I think ended up getting the victory. And basically Kenlo said, I'll call it. Why don't we just call it? And then we ended up in third, because I think we're the last ones to show up and so forth, so it was probably only fair. And I think we're getting to the end here, where basically we were, because we were like, we're just going to try. Like, this will be fun. Let's get it in. And I think people just got frustrated pretty quickly in the next minute or two here, and then it was like, all right, because you can see, we're rolled over. So we're coming up now where I'm going to stop the time lapse, and we were done, and the event was over. I'll see you next time.